What's up, guys? This is your boy Arrow. Welcome to Lunar Nation. I'm it's me and Sagoon. We are going to talk about a very interesting topic that a lot of people perhaps are trying to get, and that's a diploma. Um, so what we're going to do is we're going to illuminate the aspect of diploma. What's like, is it important? Do you need it for a workforce, or is it just a piece of paper that just gives you the green light to perhaps apply, but does it really build you the experience you need for the workforce? In today's episode, we're going to dive deep within this phenomenon, which we call the diploma phenomenon, where people with education graduating, do they really need that education to do their job? So, to start off with, Sagun, uh,
Yes.
give your opinion. What do you think about this diploma?
Thank you, Arrow, for the introduction. So basically, regarding this diploma, I believe that personally, you don't need a diploma in order to, achieve what you really want to do. That diploma, for me, in my opinion, is just a piece of paper that validates that you are qualified to do this certain job, let's say. So hypothetically, let's say that you have like a computer science, right? You're going for computer science. So you go to college, you get the diploma, and then after that, the workforce qualifies you to work as, a position in computer science just because you have the degree. But that doesn't mean that you can do this whole all these technical aspects just by online research or something like that. That degree just signifies that you just completed your, I guess, the different courses, on campus or online. But for me personally, it doesn't really affect your skills, because if you really want to learn, you can gain that by, researching online, doing some other courses, online courses, and not just technical like schoolwork, to get that diploma.
Okay, so you're pretty much saying like a diploma is just a piece of paper.
It basically is a piece of paper that you pay all these colleges, 60, $70,000 just to get that. And it might not be, worth it. I mean, for me personally, it just didn't feel like all the courses that I took was completely worth it, because I had to take like biology class, and like French or something like that. I know it does make you more well-rounded, but in order for you to complete your job, you need to, focus on computer science aspects of things. So that's kind of my opinion on it.
Okay, okay, yeah. You bring an interesting point. So my opinion about diploma, yeah, you're completely right. I feel like it's just uh, when I was taking my classes for my degree, I felt like more than 90% of it was just a waste of time. 90% meaning philosophy, any classes that had nothing to do with my uh, degree was absolutely a waste of time. When I graduated and entered the workforce, I realized uh, pretty much 99.9% of the education I learned was nonsense, and that the workforce would train you from the get go, from the ground zero. And when you're getting trained in the position, you start to realize that the skills you needed are not the skills you learned from college, unless you maybe perhaps went to Ivy League, but who knows?
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that.
yeah, and what's more important is us being like, we graduated from college. So if we were to give advice to, I guess, people who are entering college and perhaps they want to study a degree, you're more than welcome to study, but I suggest you have a vision. And it's important to have a vision to see yourself doing that position. So in my opinion, I think most people, they need to like shadow somebody, have a mentor, speak to those individuals that are into those professions, and so they get a sense and idea of what is required when they enter that position.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what you said, Arrow. I just thought of this question right now, but like, let's say, like, why is society, going through this phase of, oh, you do need this diploma? Is this something that's just been ingrained within us that we need to have this completion in order to get a job? Is this like some kind of cultural thing or just like a historical thing? That's something that I want your opinion on, Arrow.
Yeah, yeah. So my opinion is, I just think like it's just to get rid of people from the competition. So they're just trying to get vet people out. In reality, if you look at it, for example, the baby boomers, they had it easy. So apparently, what I heard from that generation is when they graduated high school, they just right away could enter the workforce and start working and making good amount of money with pensions, and have a good stable life. So you see what, like, when we're advancing and human population is definitely on a growth, in order to, I guess, cancel out people from the competition, they, in my opinion, education has brought in, like, they brought in education to say, hey, listen, you need to study so that way you could get a good position. But in my reality, in my thinking, I think it's more of like, hey, not that many people are going to study, but if you study, your chances are higher to gain a job in the corporation, because there's just so many applicants and they need to get rid of some people, and this is one of the vetting process. Granted, some of the positions I do believe you need education, but some, um, for example, like art. In my opinion, you could just learn that from a master who will teach you straight up. Whereas you need to go to a 4 year degree to learn art, or art history, or even history itself. I mean, history itself, you all you need is like a book and a library and just read it, and boom, you're a historian. So that's my opinion on these subjects. What do you think I'm on the right path, or what's your?
No, no, I think you are on the right path with that because it's basically anyone can if they really want to, like I mentioned, right? Anyone can learn what they desire to. So if they really, really want to learn that concept, like you mentioned, right? History. If they really want to learn that, then they will go to the library. They'll, study with books. And people don't really use those, library books these days, but maybe in the past. But like these days, people might go, get a PDF book online, and just read from that or take a course online. Udemy is there, like different websites, Udemy, Coursera is there. So all these different websites that people can use to, just have that education by themselves. And they don't really need to go through that formal, training and education in order to, become successful in what they really want to do. So it's, in my opinion, I've already stated it. It's just if you really want to achieve something, you will do it, and you don't need a degree in between to basically stop you from that.
Okay, okay. So we pretty much covered the aspect of, like, a degree is not as valid versus experience, right? We just covered that aspect. So here, let's for our own, like, experience, uh give examples to people, like, okay, you know what? Yeah, we agree. Education, um getting a degree doesn't really matter anymore for our opinion. But what we think could separate you from your competition, or perhaps even better, to give you a vision, is to motivate our listeners to perhaps do the following things that we think are recommendable in order for them to separate themselves from the crowd. And my opinion is, the first thing that the people need to have is to have a vision, because without a vision, you're just a lost boat in the sea. And for example, you wouldn't want to be taking a cruise ship on a ship where the captain doesn't know where they're going. So you ideally want to have a destination in mind. And if for most people they're just studying a gen ed general education, diploma degree. I think that is complete waste of time, but that's just an opinion, not a fact. My recommendation to individuals is to see what's going on in the market and to surround themselves with people like-minded who are interested in those fields where they can generate ideas and learn from each other, and more importantly have a bigger impact on obtaining positions.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
so
I
here yeah
completely agree.
so here are the recommendations. My first recommendation prior to entering college is to first have a vision. What do you want to be? What do you want to study? And more importantly, do you have a mentor? This is very important. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't have mentors when they're entering the education and get an education and get a diploma and go to the workforce. When they enter the workforce, they're going to be like, whoops, I did not like this job. Well, to save time, if you have a mentor, you talk to your mentor, you're like, hey, listen, you're in the sector that I would like to explore because my diploma is leading me to that degree. And when you gain a field and experience into this realm, you're able to understand maybe, yeah, you know what, it's worth it. I have to study because this is how society is. You have to go through the phase and get the education. But my recommendation, for example, is if, for example, you want to study computer science, uh, I highly recommend bootcamp over education because you're just going to straight up learn the coding language right away. And more importantly, when you get an interview in these corporations, they're not going to ask you about your diploma or your GPA. They're going to ask you, hey, what if we do Java in this sequence? How would you be able to manipulate this code? And you have to explain it. And
Exactly.
I guess you have to show it to them. You know, you showing it to them, they're going to be like, oh, you know what, you know your stuff.
Yeah. So just to add to that as well, it's all about like what Arrow's saying is it's all about experience at the end of the day. You could be one of the most talented person, with a 4.0 degree, with a 4.0 GPA, sorry, and go through that whole process, but if you don't really have experience, then your coworker, not the coworkers, but the actual job employers will select people with more experience because they feel like they have the capability of completing the task. Even though you do have that theoretical knowledge, of going to school, and you've completed your assignments, everything on time, all of that, right? You the job employers want people with a lot of experience and knowledge in the workforce experience, like the workplace. So that's kind of what I think, and I do think that I agree with what Arrow is saying, is that you could use all these boot camps to help you, complete what you want to do. So let's say if you want to learn something like programming or something like that, you take this boot camp, you go through all these courses. Of course, I mean it's going to take some money, but it's going to be less money than to actually get a degree. So what they'll do is that it'll be this program that you go through, maybe like 10 weeks or something like that, and you complete that program and you're all set for what you specifically want to do. So you're not going to be taking any courses like Spanish or something if you want to do like programming, or like if you want to do like mechanical, you're not going to take like some like philosophy or something like that. So it's very, very like narrow and oriented so that you are able to succeed in what you want to do for less money and also efficiency as well. So you're not gonna spend that 4 years that you spend in college trying to get that degree, graduate with that. Boot camps, in my opinion, are very, very efficient, and I really wish I did this boot camp. So yeah.
Okay, okay. So I guess to overall opinion, we agree that diploma is as it's not valid. It's more experience valid. So we
Exactly.
agree that we agree education is just a piece of paper, and it depends on what degree you're studying. But the most important value is to have a vision. So most people, let me tell you one thing: before you study your education, just remember that about 75% of the people in the workforce are unhappy with their jobs, which translates to the fact that they studied degrees that are perhaps not uh, really made for them. Perhaps they just studied it because their parents wanted them. Being like, if you're Asian or Southeast Asian or off of, like, I don't know,
Be a doctor.
if you're in a different cultural background, I think they're heavily influenced on doctor, engineer, or lawyer. But in reality, the question is: Are these your passion? Is this what you want to do? So also consider the fact that when you study these degrees, this is your life commitment. You're committing 4 years, 3 years, whatsoever. You're committing time, as we spoke to on episode two, about time. It's very important for you to value your time. So when you're studying these degrees, you better understand this is the degree you're studying to go into these fields. And are these fields the correct alignment to what you want to do in the future? So, yeah, I guess today's episode is going to be a little shorter than the other ones, as we just spoke that maybe degree is not as valid. So, some of the recommendations, depending on where you're going, but if you're going for computer science, it's highly recommended to do boot camp. And anything else, I highly recommend networking and finding a mentor. It's very important to find a mentor and always speak to people. Don't be nervous, because at the end of the day, people are people. They're not gods. So you may get a lot of no's, but one of them says, yeah, they're gonna be your mentor. They're gonna teach you what the ways are. They're gonna tell you what's up, and you're gonna learn from that. And then maybe hopefully you land in a position you like, and that diploma probably helped you learn those steps. But to be honest with you, if you have no passion and no desire to perhaps study what you're studying, please have a vision before you study. And I guess that sums up my sentence.
Yeah. No, I
Anything
just
you
want
say?
to add something as well. So, yeah, like you said, right? It's all about passion, like what you really, really want to achieve in life. So, if you really want to be that engineer, then yeah, go ahead and do a boot camp or something like that and complete it. I mean, if you want that whole college experience, I mean, it depends on certain different people, because I just say from my experience of what I did, because I did a 4-year education, and I felt like my time with all the 4 years that I spent was not worth it. I'd probably could have, if I really focused on the computer science aspect, could have finished in 2 years. So that then my 2 years of my time could have been saved, probably doing something else, like a side business, or continuing in the early experience in the workforce. So it is what it is. I mean, if you it depends on what you really really want to do. It is really from what I've seen, really not the most popular way to go through the boot camp and all that, because when you graduate high school, there is that expectation that, oh, which college are you going to graduate to, which college are you going to go. That's what I remembered when I graduated from high school. Is they announced everyone's college that they were gonna go to, but then there was only like maybe one or two that were saying like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna take some time off, I'm gonna think it through, or I'm gonna go through like an apprenticeship program. It was like a minority of people. Majority of people said they're going to XYZ college. So it's something that I want the boot camp and all this, proper thinking to be more popular compared to just college itself, and the focus on the degree of which I guess your parents want you to do as well. So like what Arrow mentioned.
Okay, okay. So to sum up, guys, we covered this aspect. One recommendation for you is to read the book "Rich Dad Poor Dad" by Robert Kiyosaki. He covers the education aspect very well. Granted, he probably is going to tell you to get into real estate. That my opinion is you don't have to, so don't get into something you don't like. But to go over this aspect, um, this episode is going to be a little short, so we just wanted to cover the diploma mystery for you guys. If you like this podcast, please vote, like it, and share it
Follow
with
as
other
well.
people, and
Follow as well, please.
follow. Most importantly, follow.
Yep.
I understand today Franz could not make it, but on the next episode, which will be a very interesting episode that probably nobody talks about. To give you a quick sneak peek, the topic of that episode will be a dying Japan. We're gonna explore what the mystery is behind population and workforce and how they utilize their time and what the consequences led to. So we're just going to briefly talk about that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And until next time, please join us on Lunar Nation as we illuminate different topics.
Thank you, everyone.